Welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with German Titan. And a couple of weeks ago, I got a war chest I got 2 war chests over the last month in the long haul program, which I was quite happy to get because they've changed the long haul program now so that I can actually have a chance of getting chests, whereas before it really wouldn't happen because I just wasn't playing the game every day and wasn't playing it enough to really have a chance of getting a long haul war chest. So I think I got a general chest or a hero chest, and this tank dropped out of it. I didn't really take much notice at the time because it was kind of late at night or whatever, and I was busy doing whatever it was that I was doing immediately in World of Tanks. So I got the chest and I thought, yeah, cool, and filed it away. I thought that it was essentially I was after getting a Skorpion G, which I already have. I didn't realise there was both a Skorpion and a Skorpion G in the game. And talk about redundant tanks. As far as I can tell, I have not examined the stats in minute detail, but looking at the stat page in Tankopedia, the only difference that I could determine between this, the Skorpion, and the Skorpion G is that this has slightly better camera ratings than the Skorpion. Not much, and not enough to make, I think, a significant difference in play. Although maybe if you had a maxed out stealth crew, it might. I'll get back to that in a moment. So, anything that I've said about the Skorpion G previously, it'll probably be repeated about the Skorpion. So what happened? How did I realise that I had a Skorpion and a Skorpion G? Well, having recently completed my second Marks of Excellence on the Crafts Panther, I thought I'd drop the Craft Panther out of my line of tanks, sort of reserve tank. So basically I have been grinding the VK2801, the Skoda T25 and the whatever it is, the 40 TP. And now that I've elited all 3, I thought to speed up the process of training the crew, I would include a premium tank from each nation. So the Poodle is in the Polish. For the Polish tank, I have the T40 for the Czech, and I was using the Crafts Panther, although admittedly with its own crew, because I was using the Crafts Panther to go for a second Mark of Excellence. So I was using the best crew I had for the job, but I had the VK2801 Elite for most of the month of August anyway, so I wasn't playing the VK2801 that much. I was concentrating on the Poodle and the not on the Poodle but on the 40 TP and the Skoda T25 to get them elited. So I got the 40 TP elited early in the week, last week or late last week. Week before this will be up on Monday, so it'll be the week prior to this week, prior to the Monday week, so the week before that. And then I got the T25 elited during the week, so both of those tanks are now elited. So, and then I managed to get the second Mark of Excellence on the Crafts Panther. So I thought I'd look through my German premium tanks, and then I noticed I had a Skorpion and a Skorpion G. And I thought, my first reaction was, oh, they're different. And second reaction was, what is the difference? And as I said, it's very, very little. So I thought, well, I might as well play it anyway. So I brought it out, put the crew from the VK2801 in it, and played it for a number of games. This is basically I have a sample of 2 of them. One of them isn't the complete game, I'm just skipping the end because I die early. I die early a lot with these tanks, with the Skorpion and the Skorpion G, because I tend to not have the situational awareness to make the most of these tanks. I find them actually a bit dull. I like tank destroyers, but these guys, I like tank destroyers that are either really tough, or I like tank destroyers that are really stealthy. So I like the Hellcat, the T-67, the T-25 too, because they're actually stealthy enough to spot their own, and they've got a good enough view range to spot their own targets. Even with the nerfs they got there, what, a year and a half ago or whatever, they're still good enough to spot their own targets. And they're fast enough to drive out of trouble if you realise you're in trouble. And you can be in actual trouble. They're actually quite quick. They're quite mobile. Now this thing is pretty mobile, but it's not mobile enough to drive you out of trouble. It's the kind of tank where you need to see trouble coming and use the mobility to relocate ahead of it. And that is one of my weak points in gameplay. I'm not the best at that. I'm also pretty good at driving into trouble, as you will see in a moment. Overextending, making assumptions about what the enemy are doing that are not necessarily true. So it works if you have long range. If you can sit at the back of a map and you can shoot down long corridors and other people are spotting for you, this tank will work wonders because the gun is pretty decent. Not a good gun for snapshotting. Doesn't quite have the accuracy to pull that off on a reliable basis, but it is a decent gun, and if you give it the time to aim, you will hit your targets most of the time. And if you get 3 penetrating hits, you've gotten your fire for effect. So the tank is pretty forgiving that way. You'll often get your fire for effect, so you can get decent enough stats in it, but to do really, really well, then the situational awareness stuff comes in and a bit more caution than I normally display. Because I'm spotted here, but I'm spotted not just by the 501, I'm also spotted by an Emile that I can't see, who of course fires 2 shots into me because he's not a loader and wipes me out. So if you're making it work when you're in spotted range, you really need to be, I think, with other tanks, so other people are taking the heat and other people are distracting the enemy that you're shooting at while you're doing the shooting. So in short, I perform solidly but unspectacularly on these tanks, and I actually find them a bit pedestrian. They're alright, but they're not very exciting. Meanwhile, we have an encounter battle on Lakeville, which kind of also highlights the strengths and some of the strengths of the tank. Also highlights a lot about Lakeville, but we won't get into that. So in the end of the day, I've decided actually, when the the trade-in, yes, the trade-in stuff came up this weekend, or yeah, this week, towards the end of the week. I decided to actually take advantage of the trade-in, and I have actually traded this in. There's no point in keeping this and the Skorpion G in my garage, because they have practically identical playstyles. Playing one is almost exactly the same. It's pretty much exactly the same as playing the other. You won't, in practice, I think, notice any real difference. So I would... Why keep... Well, the Skorpion G was first. I had it first, and I like the paint job on the Skorpion G better. That's about the only thing, really. The Germans, in terms of German premium tanks, I think there's a lot more exciting German premium tanks out there. Yeah, I don't know about the tank destroyer line. The only other premium tank destroyer I have is the Jagd Tiger 8.8. Well, I have the Hidden Stug and things like that, and I'd much prefer the Hidden Stug than the Skorpion to the Skorpion G. Admittedly, it's a lower tier. I'd be curious to know what the Waffenträger, or the Steyr Waffenträger, or the Iron Rain are like to play. I haven't actually seen the Steyr Waffenträger much. I have run into the Iron Rain a good few times, and it seems to be, from the receiving end of it, it's an autoloader Borsig, which is sounds like a quite lethal beast. But I don't know if there are any gun handling issues, because you can play against a tank and think, gee, this is a very formidable tank, and then when you play the tank yourself, you find, well, there are weaknesses in this tank that make it, not as formidable as it seemed when you're on the caught napping, or should we say caught out of position in the wrong place by one of these kind of tanks. It's like the T-25, the Skoda T-25. It's actually an excellent tank. It's a really good tank, but it's it felt like a lot more dangerous a tank when you're up against it and you're caught, because you've been caught out in the open by one and he's clipped you for 3 shots, than it would feel that if when you're driving one and you realise how fragile the tank is and how essentially useless the armour is. I've basically stayed at the back here. I've left the Steyr Waffenträger do the spotting for me. He's probably a stealthier tank, and he certainly seems to be willing to do it, and he's gotten away with it so far. It's also equally obvious at this stage of the game that the enemy tanks are not in front of us. There's very few enemy tanks around in front of us. Okay, there's a T-29 trundling off towards the town way too late. Okay, I didn't give him enough lead there, but he's way too late. He should not be heading towards the town now when everybody's dead. He should have been there at the start when he had actually a chance to make an impact. Okay, I got him there, and I took the critical as meaning there was a strong chance that I'd detract him. So I assumed that he was still there, but I fire again and he's not there. He's actually moved on. He's been detected much further on. He didn't slow down at all. The tracks are pretty tough on a T-29, so... But I reckon, you know, we're 9 tanks to 6. There's a couple of tanks on the crest and the ridge line, and the rest of them must be in the valley or around that side of the spawn area. Which is why I'm pushing up, because I got full health at this stage, and there cannot be many enemy tanks left, because I know at least 2 of them are down the ridgeline. Okay, the light tank is gone, and we run into an IKEA 90. He should not have pulled back, in my opinion. If he was going to... He could probably out DPM me if he stood there and took it. Whereas by pulling back, he's given me the chance to shoot, where he was not in a position to shoot back at me. I think his rate of fire is enough that he'd probably gotten 2 shots after my 1. At least I think it seems to be that way with them. I'm not too sure. I've never actually had one. And there's an ISU 152, but he doesn't have his gun quite pointing at me either. And I've got a round powerful enough to just drive it through the front plate of his tank, through the gun mantle. Now I should have had the cop on at this stage to realise that the heavy tank had cleared the central crest, and that I wasn't going to catch it. Although I was actually surprised by how slow this tank is when it gets into the swamp. It really slowed down. I mean, I admit that's a light tank and he's just going to tootle along anyway, but this thing really slowed down. It noticeably slowed down, so the soft stats of these tanks aren't that great either. But it's game over. There's nothing that heavy tank's going to do. One way or the other, whether he waits for us here in the valley or has driven out at the bottom end. There he is. He's actually appeared at the bottom end. But he's already up against 3 tanks and he's in a crossfire. He can really only take cover against one set or the other. And he'll be up against 4 tanks in a second, because the light tank is going to be coming in behind him. I'm not going to get down there in time to make any difference. So overall verdict, it's a solid performer. Personally, I wouldn't buy one. I think there are more interesting German premium tanks to get. But, you know, I didn't turn it down because I got it for free, essentially. I mean, I got it for playing the long haul, so it was effectively free. Just my work in playing the game. Seems to me to be a decent enough earner silver, a decent enough crew trainer. That's all I've got to say about it, really. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press like, comment, share. It really helps the channel out. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.